And if anyone has a question,
I have a question, Stuart.
yes, sir.
How can it be that...
Wait 1 second, please try and sit still, everybody. Don't move. It disrupts the whole energy. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. How can it be? I'm a good swimmer. I'm a lifeguard, and I can do 2 pools underwater without breathing. And then when it comes to meditation, sometimes I find it hard to keep my breath for 10 seconds. How do you explain that?
How do I explain that? I don't know how to explain that. I mean, look, it could be, look, you're trained to be a lifeguard. When you sit and do this, there's tension inside you that could keep you from sustaining the breath that way. There's resistance inside you that will keep you from sustaining the breath that way. I mean, I don't really know what it is, but it's something that as you do it, you'll find out what is creating that kind of block inside yourself. I mean, this is different than swimming, and you're trained in swimming. You've been trained for years probably how to swim and be a lifeguard and do all that stuff. So, I mean, look, I can, talk to somebody and I cough, but I go on a treadmill. This is really true. And I can go for a half hour on a treadmill at a pretty fast pace and I don't cough. My breathing is fine. Everything is fine. I don't understand these things. I don't understand why, these things happen, but it's in many ways a similar thing to what you just expressed. So, as you do this work, you'll come to the reasons why. And you'll get over them because you have training, you have discipline, you understand breathing, how important it is. And you'll be able to use all that to overcome whatever difficulties you have sitting and doing the meditation. I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're doing very well. You look great, I mean it, And then it's new to you also. You've been doing this, about 3 weeks? A month, maybe? And it's new, and it takes time to really learn it and to discipline yourself, to build a system inside. It's what I talked about, I've been talking about it all last week. How when I was younger and I would sit with Rudy and spend a lot of time around him and go to his classes all the time, and I was very, had a lot of anxiety as a young man. I was very, I would say neurotic, disturbed. I had a lot of insecurity as a young person. And so much, every time I would be around him, he would pump so much teachings into me. And I hadn't the chemistry to absorb them. But I did my meditation, and I discovered that the problem was that I had to build a chakra system in myself that was strong enough to absorb, what he was teaching. And it's the same way with all of us, not just me. I mean, what comes through me is like a lot of powerful stuff, and a very ancient teachings, a lot of it. And you need to build a system inside that is strong enough so that it finds a home inside you, not in your head, because I'm not here to, do theosophical and religious, logistical explanations of God and all that, that is part of the mind, I'm here to transmit Shakti, energy, so that it becomes a living experience. That takes time. It takes sometimes years to build a system. I mean, look, Moses, Christ, Buddha, they talked about these extraordinary things. The world still hasn't built a system that enables them to live the way these incredible masters taught, these great children of God taught, about spirituality. And we live in a world where almost nobody lives that way because nobody has the system. inside that can enable them to take in those teachings and make it become part of their living reality. And that's what this is about. And that's how the breathing will come, you know, as you develop the chakra system, that becomes easier and easier. I mean, this is an incredible thing to understand because everybody wants to be perfect now. You know, everybody, I got to do it perfectly. No, have patience. As I just said, this is even new to me. I never thought about this before. Buddha, Christ, Moses. I mean, all these amazing rabbis that created the Kabbalah and great Christian mysticism that came and, you know, I mean, the world has never learned. Look at the craziness that goes on in this world. And it's never learned because people have never developed a system inside that was strong enough to allow these masters' teachings to become part of their living experience. And that's what this work is about. It took me years to learn how to do this. I mean, Christ wasn't a Christian. He didn't have all that dogma and religion, and the Buddha wasn't even a Buddhist, for God's sake. They made him a Buddhist after he took his samadhi. I mean, it's all of that. It was these teachers transmitting they were transmitting, honestly, it's almost trite, the word of God for people to really absorb and learn how to grow inside themselves and to how to transform that word into living experience, to be God's children in the world. And this work is the same thing, it's the exact same thing. I'm not saying that I'm Buddha, I'm not Christ, I'm not Moses, I'm Stuart. I have spent a long time developing a chakra system that makes me capable of doing this, of transmitting that teaching, that Shakti. And you can't be impatient. You just really have to take it a step at a time. It's like building a house. You build it a beam at a time, the foundation, the electricity, the plumbing, step by step until you develop a system that can really live that way.
It's 2:00.
It becomes living experience. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I think it's very good that I've come to a place in my life to where this kind of teaching is flowing through me. Because if you all can just grasp this and start using this, your growth is going to go really very quickly. It took me a long time to learn this. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question.
Yes.
When I'm by myself, I'm able to sort of go into the hara and feel, but when I meet people or interact, I just give it all away, sort of, or just step out of it, or just...
No, those people are just your teacher. They're telling you that you have deeper work to do on yourself. Be grateful to them because they're reminding you that you have to go much deeper inside. You have to build the hara in a much stronger way. And if you're reminded to do that, then you'll be grateful to these people because that's what life is about. Life is the most incredible teacher. You step out into the world and you have to deal with all the tension and people and egos, and you discover how evolved you are by your capacity to deal with all that stuff without allowing it to get you crazy, to take your energy away from you, to suck you dry. So these people are very important in life, what goes on, because they're a good reminder that we haven't arrived yet. I mean, family is great for that, you know, my God, you know. I mean, you just have to come down to the breakfast table and you have to deal with people's, this one and that one and the other one. And business is great for that. Jobs are great for that. Because almost nobody in this world has training, you understand? So people live with ego, they live with anything that can justify their being, you know, and it gets very difficult. And they're a reminder that we have to grow. I have it too. I sometimes meet people that, my God, you know, and it just says, Stuart, you got to grow. I spent years of my life, when I lived in New York, when I ran this huge meditation center there, I used to keep people around me that were really difficult for me, that were very hard for me to be around. And I would do it, you know, maybe 2 or 3 people like that. And I would do it for a very real reason, because they were incredible teachers for me. When I learned to love them, to hug them, to, you know, to be centered around those people, it means I really had grown a great deal inside myself. So I used to intentionally do that. And it wasn't masochistic. I needed those people. You know, I needed them because they were a reminder that I have to grow. You know, and they really served me in my life, and I'm very grateful to every single one of them. There's one person I literally kept a close contact with that was impossible for me for 40 years. I really mean that. So, you know, don't get upset at that, or, you know, just say, okay, I have to work deeper. I have to get stronger inside. And then you can deal with most anything, just about anything, you know. I mean, it's really simple. It's like, who's going to throw the first stone? You know, who's going to judge anybody else? We've all done such nonsense in our life, and nobody is in a position to judge anybody else. Nobody. So we learn. Life is the most incredible teacher. And then you come to meditation class, you take the energy deeper. Each class a little deeper, developing that chi, that power in yourself, the open heart. And then eventually it translates into the way you live in the world. I mean, I could tell you when I was running ashrams many years ago, I was not an easy person. I was a very intense person. I had very little patience for people's BS, you know, their bullshit. I just had no patience. And I was very intense. And it took time. I mellowed out. One day I said, Stuart, what? Why are you doing this? Just love these people. These people are in your life. These people are helping you to grow. These people are really, you know, participating in your world. Love them. And it was the same way in business, you know, in business, you know, the greed, I used to watch people put knives in each other's back. It was unbelievable, the stuff that people do to make money, you know? And I finally said, no, just learn from them. Learn what you don't want to do with your life. Learn what you don't want to, how you don't want to live. How it's possible to make money in this world without being greedy and without being some kind of slime bag, you know, that's going to destroy other people. And life teaches us this. And what helps us to do it is doing this kind of deep meditation that builds a system that enables us to finally live that way. Does anyone else have a question? they would like. I hope this is clear, you know, because I try to keep things as simple as I can possibly express them, you know, not getting into complicated words and metaphysical terminologies and just basic street talk, you know, is how I try to keep things.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, just to finish this thing, there's a story I've told many times, but it really is very applicable here. You know, when I was younger, I was in my, 25, like that. I used to work in restaurants and bars, and I would, get jobs waiting tables, bartending. And the last restaurant I worked in, when I finally quit that job and I was finished waiting tables for the rest of my life, there was a bartender there. I was a waiter. And there was a bartender there who I could not go up there and say, give me a martini to serve to a customer without getting into a fight with this guy. It was unbelievable. He just would open his mouth and it would irritate me so terribly. You know, and I used to hear Rudy talk about these kind of things, you know. So one day I'm standing at the bar, I have nothing to do, and he's talking to one of the waiters about how he's going to meet his girlfriend at midnight to have a midnight dinner, and they're going to celebrate this and that. And I'll never forget that as long as I'm standing at the bar listening, that there's a woman in this world who could meet him to have a midnight. I said, this woman must be a saint. She must be an extraordinary being, you know? And I started to laugh. I said, Stuart, you can't get a martini from this guy. You've got to change. Something in you has to open to find what that woman, not to fall in love with him, but to find something good in this person so that it really enables you to function here on a better level. You know, from that point on, I never had a fight with him again. We became friends. We had long conversations. And I realized it wasn't him, it was me. I had to change something in myself in order to relate to this other human being. It was incredible. I'll never forget that guy became, I'll never forget him, that guy. It wasn't him, it was me. I had to change. I had to get big enough to find something that was good in this human being. And his girlfriend, who I never met, she taught me that you could find something good in this person. You have to open up deep enough to find it. I mean, a lot of wars wouldn't exist. People would not fight with each other. They would just listen to each other, for God's sake. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be a class again on Tuesday. God bless you all. And thank you for being here and doing this. And I think it's a great miracle in my life to be able to connect with people all over the world this way and do this meditation practice. Bless you all. And I will see everybody, I hope, on Tuesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bless you all. Thank you.